The other incident was a felony gun arrest that resulted in the closure of dozens of stolen property cases extending from Suffolk to Queens. While attempting to place the subject under arrest, Sergeant Iannucci suffered lacerations and broken bones when he was dragged by the perpetrator's vehicle as the subject attempted to flee from custody. With assistance from other plainclothes officers and BSO units, the subject was apprehended. Sergeant Iannucci exhibits tremendous leadership ability. The safety of the public and his fellow officers always comes first, sometimes to the detriment of his own well-being. His outstanding approach to performing his job makes us proud to honor him this evening.
Okay, guys. I got him. Okay, guys. Hold on.
Rumor has it, Brian, you have folks here? All right, Junior, get out of here.
I can get out?
By assisting homicide with numerous gang-related murder cases involving the Crips, Bloods, and MS-13. Detectives Colby and Mitchell are currently handling several confidential informants. They've made numerous other gang-related arrests, including attempted murder, assault 1, and criminal possession of a weapon, recovering 18 firearms in total. And finally, both detectives were actively involved with an ongoing Crip investigation. With 20 arrests made, as stated by District Attorney Kathleen Rice, this resulted in the largest gang arrest in Nassau County history. Prior to this case, there was an average of one shooting every 6 days in Roosevelt. After the arrests were made, there was only one shooting in the following 6 months. By their actions, Detective George Colby and Detective John A. Mitchell have put gangs in Nassau County on notice. The message is, gang activity is no longer tolerated in our county. Congratulations, detectives, for a job well done.
Please come up. Detective John Mitchell, Detective George Colby. President Francione, please come up. And then you got the DII board members that are here.
I'm sorry?
Just put that on the other side.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, our top detectives, John Mitchell and George
gunfire with the subject before he fled the scene, scaling a fence into a nearby schoolyard. The two officers stayed with Officer Aurora and continued to render first aid. Officer Dolan transmitted via radio a description and direction of travel of the armed assailant. Now responding to the scene was 3rd Precinct plainclothes officers Basil Gomez and Vincent Lojidas. Officer Ritter pointed to where the fleeing subject had gone. After quickly assessing the situation, the plainclothes officers determined from which back streets the subject was most likely to emerge. Having correctly calculated the subject's escape route, they came upon it. Once again, the subject confronted and pointed his gun towards the police. Both officers fired their weapons to stop his threat. The subject fell to the ground briefly, then quickly recovered and began to run again. This time, the subject left his firearm where he had fallen. Both officers began pursuit, but lost sight of him as he turned the corner. They continued to search the area for him. 5th Precinct Police Officer John Wellenruther was the first on the scene to assist the 3rd Precinct plainclothes officers. Using the spotlight from his patrol car, he was able to uncover the subject, hiding under a parked car. Once discovered, the suspect ran again. This time, officers Wellenruther, Lojidas, and Gomez pursued and cornered the subject, who violently resisted arrest. The officers were able to gain control and place him into custody. While these events were taking place, Police Officer Pat Bergen was canvassing the area where he came into contact with the shooter's accomplice, who was the mastermind of the burglary plot. Officer Bergen placed him under arrest without issue. These officers did not hesitate to put themselves in harm's way when confronting an armed and extremely violent felon. They responded immediately, reacted quickly, and called upon their experience and training. They used excellent tactics, and after chasing and fighting with the subject, were able to place him under arrest. Ultimately, after gun battles, one officer suffered serious physical injuries, and several others narrowly escaped the scene. These officers demonstrated tremendous courage and bravery while in the line of fire. Their strong will and concern for their fellow officers and the endangered family was apparent. We are extremely proud to honor all of the officers involved this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Distinguished Service Award goes to Mohit Arora, Eugene Dolan, Kenneth Ritter, Basil Gomez, Vinny Loredisi, Pat Bergen, and John Wellenruther from the 5th. Come on up, guys.
Basil. Slide down. Top of them down to the floor, please. Like you did before. Give it a shot. I don't know. Okay, guys, here we go.
The 2013 Nassau County PBA Meritorious Awards met by the grandmother and a family friend. A verbal argument took place between all the parties. The argument became physical and violent. The suspect then pulled out a handgun, firing several times, striking and killing the family friend. The 51-year-old grandmother was also critically injured. A member of the 5th Precinct transmitted an accurate and detailed notification via the Communications Bureau. The notification included a detailed description of the subject, suspect's vehicle and plate number. The vehicle was registered to a Far Rockaway address, which is just outside the confines of the 4th Precinct. Police Officer Velty canvassed the Far Rockaway location with negative results. Police Officer Velty met up with Police Officer Vera and set up an observation point for the defendant's vehicle at Central Avenue and Downey Boulevard and Nassau Expressway Central Avenue, knowing this was a main thoroughfare back to the suspect's address. A short time later, Police Officer Vera observed the suspect's vehicle, operated by a driver fitting the description of the suspect. Police Officer Vera transmitted a 1033 requesting a clear channel so he could transmit the location of the suspect. Police Officer Ryan and Police Officer Lutz and Police Officer Velty raced to assist Police Officer Vera, knowing he had a suspect that was armed with a firearm and committed a homicide. A felony car stop of the armed suspect was conducted, and the suspect was taken into custody without incident and was charged with the murder of the family friend and shooting the 51-year-old grandmother. These officers working as a team showed tremendous restraint while performing their jobs valiantly. They distinguished themselves in a situation with no regard to their own personal safety. They apprehended a murderer and took him off the streets, never to kill again. Officer in and lower extremities while attempting to control his massive bleeding. A request for an ambulance and helicopter was made. Ambulance medical technicians Lawrence Loisel, Nicholas Pignataro, and Walter Lynch arrived on the scene. Also responding on their own without being dispatched was the Lawrence Cedarhurst Fire Department. Working together to render aid, they were able to transfer Officer Stanganelli onto a backboard while performing advanced life support in an attempt to save his life. They put him on a trundle and moved towards the helicopter for transport to the hospital. The pilot was Officer Daniel Bernard, along with Medic Officer Darren Costello. They transported Officer Stanganelli to NUMC as they continued to try and stabilize him. 4th Precinct Police Officers Sparacci, Trabala, and O'Grady, Aviation Officers Bernard and Costello, Ambulance Medical Technicians Loisel and Lynch, along with volunteer fire department personnel, acted as a well-rounded team of experts to render immediate aid to Officer Stanganelli. The result of the tremendous work of all the members involved prevented him from sustaining even further serious injuries. Officer Stanganelli was released from the hospital after 6 months of surgery and rehabilitation. He still suffers from lingering effects of the accident, but is grateful for the life-saving measures that were used by all the rescuers.
That morning, I went down there based on a complaint from the village of speeding on Route 878, because people came off the Atlantic Beach Bridge and also Far Rockaway. The speed limit is 30 miles an hour, and they were flying down there. Looking down the road, and there's this big old dark SUV in the left lane coming at me. I estimated the speed about 55, and when I looked at the radar, it's about 53. So you're still over 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. Well, what I didn't know was that somebody was tailgating him. The guy who was tailgating him saw him slow down, and without even wondering what was in the road or why the guy might have been slowing down in the left lane, he decides he's going to pass him. He jumps into the right lane at 55 miles an hour. Remember, he's following the other guy, right? Meanwhile, my guy is pulling over. So the two cars collided, and then he goes careening into me. And that is where, that was what I remember. That's what I remember up to. So the fact that I'm here talking to you is a miracle. And as far as I'm concerned, God worked that miracle through the guys and the women who came to work on me. Because it was great. The first thing I like to say is thank you. I've always known that I was in a business where we really care a lot about each other, men and women alike. But to actually be on the other side of this for the first time. You see, I've been on the other side where I've actually gone and helped other cops that have been hurt. But I never really thought it would happen to me. And the idea that everybody came and they brought their A game. They did, because if they didn't bring their A game, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I really wouldn't. These guys and any women that were involved also, they saved my life literally. They did everything. I mean, it was so way beyond what I would consider to be like life-saving because of all of the things that were wrong with me.